Rain poured like 1,000 tiny needles against the pavement as Lila sprinted down the dimly lit street, her breath ragged, her hands trembling. Her soaked hoodie clung to her body, and her sneakers slapped the asphalt with desperate rhythm. Behind her, the echo of angry footsteps grew closer. Her ex, Damon, the man she once trusted, now the nightmare she was trying to escape. Her heart thudded so violently it drowned out the storm. A car sat idling near the curb, a sleek black SUV with tinted windows. She didn't think. She just ran toward it. Every instinct screamed for safety, for a hiding place. She yanked open the back door and threw herself inside, slamming it shut and ducking low. "Please," she gasped between sobs. "Just drive." "Please, he's coming." The driver turned his head slightly, his deep voice steady, almost calm. "Buckle up!" The tires screeched, and the SUV shot forward, cutting through the rain. Lila pressed herself into the seat, trembling, staring at the stranger's silhouette. The air inside the car smelled faintly of leather and expensive cologne. His jawline was sharp, his hands confident on the wheel, too calm for someone who'd just picked up a terrified stranger. "Thank you," she whispered shakily. "You just saved my life." The man didn't reply right away. His voice, when it came, was low and smooth. "You shouldn't trust strangers so easily." Lila frowned, fear creeping back into her chest. I didn't have a choice." "I know," he said quietly, glancing at her through the mirror. His eyes were dark, unreadable. "But choices always come with consequences." That was the moment she realized she hadn't escaped danger. She'd driven straight into it. Lila stared out the window as the city lights blurred past. She tried to steady her breathing, tried to make sense of what just happened. Damon had been hunting her ever since she left him. The man who had once promised to protect her had turned into a controlling monster. When she finally fled, he vowed to find her. Tonight, he almost did. "Where do you want me to drop you off?" the driver asked. "Anywhere safe," she said softly. I don't have anywhere to go." He said nothing for a moment, then pulled into an underground parking garage beneath a high-rise building. The hum of the engine faded, leaving only the sound of the rain echoing off the concrete walls. "You can come up," he said. "You shouldn't be out in that weather." Something about his tone made her hesitate. Not demanding, not gentle, just commanding. Against her better judgment, she followed him. The elevator doors closed, and for a moment, silence filled the small space. When they reached the top floor, Lila's eyes widened. The penthouse looked like something out of a magazine. Marble floors, glass walls, and a view that overlooked the entire city. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. He removed his rain-soaked jacket, revealing a black shirt and a gold watch that shimmered under the light. "People call me Adrian." She recognized the name almost instantly. Her breath caught. Everyone in the city knew who Adrian Russo was, the reclusive mafia boss who ruled the underworld quietly, efficiently, without mercy. Her knees weakened. "Oh my God!" Adrian noticed her fear. "Relax," he said softly. "If I wanted to hurt you, I would have left you out there." She sank into a chair, still trembling. "Why help me?" He looked out the window, hands in his pockets. "Maybe because once someone helped me." That night, Lila stayed in the guest room. She lay awake, listening to the rain, her mind a storm of fear and gratitude. Adrian was a man she should never trust. Yet he'd been the only one who'd helped her when she needed it most. In the morning, she found him in the kitchen, sipping coffee and reading the news. He looked up when she entered. "There's breakfast," he said simply. "Thank you," she replied, still cautious. Adrian studied her for a moment. "You're running from someone dangerous," she nodded. "My ex, Damon, he's not the man people think he is. He controls, he threatens. I barely got away." Her voice broke. "I just want to start over." Something flickered in Adrian's expression. Something like understanding. "Starting over isn't easy." "But if you want to disappear, I can help," Lila froze. "Why would you do that for me?" "Because I see myself in you," he said quietly. "You don't know what it's like to live your life always watching your back." "I do." She didn't know whether to trust him, but something in his voice, that pain buried beneath calm, made her believe him. Days passed. Lila began to feel safe. Adrian never crossed boundaries, never asked too many questions. He arranged for new documents, a new name, even a small apartment far from her old life. But what she didn't know was that Damon was already looking for her, and he'd learned that the Mafia was now protecting the woman he wanted back. One night, while Adrian was on a call, his men brought him news. Damon had been seen in the city, asking questions, bribing people, trying to find her. Adrian's eyes hardened. "Handle it," he said simply. That night, Lila overheard fragments of a conversation that made her blood run cold. She stepped into the hallway just as Adrian hung up the phone. "What did you do?" she whispered. He turned toward her, his face unreadable. "I did what I always do, protected what's mine." "I'm not yours," she said, her voice trembling. His eyes softened for the first time. "You were never supposed to be. But you walked into my car that night and somehow you changed something in me." Tears welled up in her eyes. "You can't just decide to save me like that." He stepped closer, his voice quiet but firm. "Then tell me you don't want to be saved." She couldn't, because deep down she knew he wasn't her captor. He was her shield. Weeks later, Damon found her. He stormed into the cafe where she worked under her new name, his eyes wild. "You think you can hide from me?" Before he could touch her, the door swung open. Adrian walked in, surrounded by his men. The room fell silent. "Touch her," Adrian said coldly, "and you won't walk out of here." Damon froze, recognizing him instantly. You're the Russo boss." "Not tonight," Adrian said quietly. "Tonight, I'm just the man who promised her she'd never have to run again." What happened next was never spoken of again. But from that day forward, Damon vanished, and Lila never looked over her shoulder again. Months later, she stood on a balcony overlooking the city, the wind in her hair. Adrian joined her silently. "You're free now," he said. She smiled faintly. "I know." He turned to leave, but she caught his hand. "You saved me, Adrian, but you also taught me something." He looked at her, curious. That sometimes the people who look most dangerous are the ones with the kindest hearts. For the first time in years, Adrian smiled. "And sometimes," he said softly, "the broken ones teach us what it means to be whole again." The city lights shimmered below them, like 1,000 stars that finally found their place in the darkness. And in that quiet moment, they both knew. Sometimes fate doesn't save you from the storm. It sends you someone who stands in it with you.